Hey, it's Mina, and in this video we're going to go into a deep dive into one of your past lives. We're going to look at how it's impacting your current life and what lessons you can take with you into this life to make your life just a little bit better. So go ahead and take a look at the piles. You may feel immediately drawn to one, but the way I thought we'd pick today, by looking at the affirmation statements on the bottom of each of these calming, sleeping cards. The first statement is, I have faith in life. I let go of my troubles. Life feels light. I feel my feelings in my body. I am blessed to feel this comfortable. I am supported by life. I light up the world with my gentle eyes. And I am love. So go ahead and re-watch those affirmation statements as many times as you need to really feel which one resonates with you. If there are two you're really feeling drawn towards, it might mean that you need to look into two separate past lives. So definitely go ahead and give both of those sections of this video a watch. If you'd like a more personalized reading on a past life, I can definitely offer you something in that realm. I would love to do and explore past life readings. I don't have a specific tarot spread set up for that, but I would definitely be willing to work with you on prices and spreads because it's something I want to dive deeper into as a tarot reader. So I would love it if I could have some people to help me try that out with. So whenever you feel ready, grab your mug of coffee or tea and read some tarot with me. Hey, group number one, if you chose I have faith in my life, then this is the message for you about your past life. Right away here, I can see that you were born into a very loving and exciting household. You had a lot of siblings and family in general, and sometimes conversations could get very passionate between family members. But all in all, there was a lot of action and exchanging of ideas at all times, and your parents really encouraged you to go out and try new things and challenge ideas and look at the world in a little bit of a different way. And so as an adult, your life mission was to change your negative patterns. You were in a constant state of starting anew. You liked to reinvent yourself. You had a fairly open mind. You really did a lot of exploration into the spiritual realm in this life, and you went through a few spiritual awakenings. I would not be surprised if you gained a lot of spiritual knowledge during this lifetime. A very critical situation that occurred in your life was the Page of Cups reversed and the Magician reversed. Because of your open mind and your kind family, you were a bit naive at times. Someone claimed they wanted to help you along your path of discovery, but scammed you. I'm getting the sense that it might have actually been a romantic partner. They made you feel like you just couldn't get your dreams. They told you that you were never going to be enough. And for a long time, you really believed them. You really took on their opinion of things and kind of held yourself back. But eventually, you did use your inner wisdom to see past their trickery, and you found a way to leave them in the end. How did you handle the situation? The Ace of Cups reversed. This person and the way that they treated you, it stuck with you for a long time, even after you left. You carried around a sense of pain and fear that you just couldn't make the right choices anymore. It really shook the confidence that you had built all along when you were younger. And you stopped desiring new places, people, and events. And you started gravitating towards the old and familiar. Actually, it kind of tainted your idea of going out and achieving and doing new things in a way. So let's take a deeper look into how this is kind of impacting you currently. We've got Hera. Ask for what you need, and the Bat. So you learned the importance of making the right kinds of connections in that lifetime, and you became more scrupulous about the types of people you were going to let into your life. You had learned a lot in your youth, and you decided to use the rest of your life as a kind of spiritual mentor to others around you. You really gained and learned the value at the end of this life in teaching and sharing all that you had gained with those who were younger. You kind of became the opposite of this person who you were in a relationship with, and you started encouraging people to seek out their truths and the things that resonated most with them. But in this life, you still carry on a bit of concern about your self-worth. It's difficult for you to feel worthy enough to ask for the things that you need. You worry that someone will tell you you do not deserve it like your past love did. You might have even attracted a similar person, like the person in your past life, into this current life, and it sort of became like a fulfilling prophecy. You're always worried that you weren't good enough, and then you found a person that continued to tell you you weren't good enough. And so I could definitely see this being a repeating pattern for you here in this life. The truth is, we're not meant to do everything on our own, and humans are meant to work with a community, and each person in that community is blessed with certain gifts. Here's some ways you can ask for help and really get out of this thinking that you don't deserve people's help and you don't deserve to be a part of a community, because you really do. Be polite and use a thankful heart. I feel like this is something that you were born with as a child. You are naturally thankful, you are naturally kind and caring to other people. So start by asking help from someone who's already proven themselves to be a safe person to you again and again. And then slowly but surely you'll find yourself being able to reach out to other people and get what you need from them as well. Lastly here, this is how you're going to use what you learned in that past life for this life to kind of make it a little bit better, the bat. It's such a beautiful card to have with this reading because the bat is all about rebirth. This is confirmation from Spirit that you're supposed to spend this life continuing your life purpose in that past life. You're meant to be reborn and explore the unknown the way your younger self did in that past life so freely. It's saying release the mistrust of others, but don't forget the red flags that you've learned to help you avoid those cunning, tricky people that you might encounter. You've been deeply hurt, yes, but now you know what to avoid and you can be reborn into a safer and more balanced you and use all this knowledge that you have to help instruct other people and to create a safer environment for others to explore their true spirituality. These are all the messages I'm getting for you, group number 1. If this video resonates with you, give it a like. If this video resonates with you, give it a like or comment down below and how it did. Subscribe to my channel for more pick-a-card videos as well as monthly horoscope readings, and I will see you next time. Bye. Hey, group number 2, if you chose I Can Let Go of My Troubles, then this reading is for you about your past life. Let's give a little bit of backstory about who you were in this lifetime. Your mother was very intelligent, sophisticated, hilarious, but she was not very open with her affection. She often needed time away from you. She was very independent, needed her alone time. She could turn it on for a crowd, but I think ultimately she was a bit of an introvert. And so that left you having a lot of moments in your life figuring out how to do things without any adult instruction at times. Your mom was kind, though. She would always stand up for you, and I get the sense that she was probably a single mother for most of your upbringing. She was brutally honest at times, but always with the intent of making life better for you, and you really admired her strength and wisdom, so much so that I would say you kind of grew up to be very similar to her. You were daring, intelligent, proud, passionate, a very fantastic leader, and I'm assuming you had some kind of fire sign, sun, or ascendant. You were like a Leo or Sagittarius or Aries. You were fearless, free-thinking, and you loved action, and I'm not at all surprised if you didn't become part of a war effort or like an advisor to a king. I can just see you just charming your way with your intellect and your drive to get things done into a position like that in this lifetime. People took notice of your gifts and your charm, and you were able to social climb a bit because of them. So whereas your mother was a single mom, probably wasn't looked at very highly, but really worked her hardest and did her best, you kind of took that a step further and were able to really get a lot further in life than she would have ever wanted to. And I'm getting a very you were a man during this lifetime, but a lot of times we just kind of get the spirit of the soul as very divine masculine spirit at this time. So a situation that happened in your life that really shook things up and really tested you, something that is a part of your current life and you might not even be aware of it. You were definitely involved with some kind of war, and even with all your intelligence, intuition, and good advice, things were just not going well for your side. What you didn't realize is that there was actually a spy in the camp, and they were giving knowledge of everything that you were advising them to do. And so it just felt like because you were unaware of the spy, you just kept being like, wow, they just can predict our every move. And so you started to get more unpredictable. And in fact, what happened was you led a lot of men straight into slaughter. And that is something that really stopped you dead in your tracks. It wasn't something you were just like, nah, well, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. No, that was something that really, truly made you take a hard look on your life and how you were living it. You took a huge risk and it just didn't pay off. And many people lost their lives. And after that time, those in power really stopped trusting you as much. And I think you really stopped trusting yourself as much as well. In response to that, not surprisingly, all the fun and hope that you kind of had when you were younger was sort of knocked out of you, and you started ignoring your intuitive impulses for good and started to freeze up and fight anything new that came your way, fearing it instantly and not taking it on like you would have when you were younger. So let's look at what you learned and then how that's kind of impacting you currently still. So we've got Rhea, trust your feelings. Oh, yeah, that's not surprising. And the elk, interesting, okay. So you really learned in that lifetime how to be in the flow. You came by it so easily when you were winning, but then you began to take it for granted and you forgot to check in with your higher self. And this is how this spy kind of slipped in without your notice. See, when your focus became a little bit selfish, you couldn't, and you were like, I'm winning and I'm so great and I'm doing such a good job. And you kind of got a little bit cocky and you started to sort of feel like you were untouchable. And that is when you kind of lost sense of your higher self and your higher purpose. And this person easily came in and like pulled the rug right from out underneath you. The way to stay in the flow is through relaxation and releasing expectations. By the end of the light of your life, you were really understanding how to not force things, how to trust your inner divine higher self, and how to trust divine timing. But this was like a lifelong recovery from this event. Obviously, it was quite tragic and traumatic for you. And so it took you most of your life to recover from this situation. And I think some of that is like currently hanging on in this current life. And you're really still struggling to trust your feelings. You're constantly worried. That guilt of that tragic battle is always creating distrust in your inner compass. And when you see others around you doing something, you trust the group more than you trust your own feelings. And so a lot of times you'll just go with what everybody else is doing instead of taking your own path for fear of leading people astray again. You really value other people's opinions more than your own sometimes. And it's not surprising. I think that kind of a loss is something that's really, really difficult to release and not feel guilt over. So what I'd like for you to do, what I think is going to be really helpful in you releasing this karma so that these things don't continue to repeat over and over again. Write down times when you're guessing something will happen and then it does actually happen. This is your intuition, and it's important to acknowledge your intuition, because if not, then we're just constantly led astray. So write down when you're like, oh, I think this person's going to do this, and then they do it, because you need to remind yourself of how strong your intuition is. Pay attention to your body, definitely, and how does it respond in current situations. If it's tightening up, if you feel tightness in your chest, and this is an indication that you're not where you're supposed to be, even if that's where society is pushing you to be. And if your heart feels open and warm, then that is a sign from your higher self that you are on the right track. So let physical sensation be your guide for a little bit while you need it to be there. And then eventually I feel like your intuition is going to come back into play. And you're going to pick it up a lot faster than most people because you already had such a well-developed intuition in a past life. Focus on your breathing and meditation and calm yourself when you're feeling out of control. I love that this elk is here. Actually, it's very positive and hopeful in this reading because the elk really symbolizes stability and grounded safety. A previous life made you a more stable person in your current life, and you're not running into the fray with abandon anymore. You stop and you check the pros and cons. At times you can be seen as stubborn or set in your ways, but you'd rather that than risk it all. I would urge you to really develop your intuition again and marry it with this greater stability you have. You need to marry the two, and you need to walk in both worlds, because that's really what's going to be pushing you towards bigger and better things moving forward. Don't fear new things. Just remember that everything and everyone you have in your life at one time was new to you. And so when new things come, we don't need to fear them. We do look at them critically and make sure that we're not in danger, but it's not something we need to fear. It's something to embrace and explore, kind of like you did when you were younger in that past lifetime. These are all the messages I'm getting for you, group number 2. Give it a like or comment down below. Subscribe to my channel for more pick a card videos, as well as monthly horoscope readings, and I will see you next time. Bye. Hey group number 3, if you chose Life Feels Light, then this is your reading on your past life. Let's dive in first into a little bit of background into who you were and what family you were born into so we can get some context to this reading. In your family that you were born into, you never really felt like you could be yourself. For some reason, everyone walked around doing the right thing instead of the thing that was truly on their heart to do, and that was really difficult for you. You just felt like you had to be so fake, and it all just felt so oppressive. And in turn, you never really got that close with anyone in your family. It was instilled upon you as a child not to make waves. And at the time, the pressure of suppressing yourself bubbled up, and you would have these giant tantrums when you were younger. And then your parents would punish you quite severely, actually, because it wasn't the proper or correct thing to do. It wasn't how we handle our emotions. And you spent a lot of your adult life trying to both cope with the pain that you experienced when you were young and also not being your truest self and trying to fit into your family's opinion of what a proper person behaves like and acts like and how they should live their lives. It essentially made you delay every aspect of your life because you just didn't feel like what they wanted for you matched what you wanted, and so you just avoided it altogether. You may have gotten your education later, looked for a job later in life, looked for romance later in life, and it truly started to make you jaded and bitter at a young age. A person who was born to be very passionate and very emotional and sensitive, you started to become very just apathetic about life and just not willing to participate in it. Until, actually, a critical situation in your life happened. So we have the Judgment card reversed and the Knight of Pentacles reversed here. Fear and doubt held you back from taking on anything that might make you happy. You became a little bit irresponsible about things, and you refused to take on any karmic lessons and spent your time just stubbornly wishing life was different and your life was something else, determined not to pursue what you wanted. So you kind of like played a little game of stagnation with the universe where you're like, if you're not going to immediately give me what I want and put me in a better situation, then I'm not going to do anything to better my life. And that's kind of where you stood for quite a bit of time. You became resentful, and at times you took it out on those around you who showed positivity or went after what they wanted. You kind of would clap back at them like, it's not going to work out the way you wanted. Or it just, you emulated the same sort of negativity and authoritarian type of vibe that your parents had on you to the people that were really positive and go-getters that you would meet in your life. And these opposing forces obviously took a lot out of you because your truest person was this very sensitive, loving, open-minded individual, but you were forced to be this kind of rigid, societally pressured type of person. And so by the end of your life, when your parents had passed away, here is what I'm seeing with this Four of Swords reversed, you started to lighten up a bit. It was, as horrible as it sounds, it's almost like with your parents passing, you started to really realize, oh, no one's pushing me to be anything anymore. I'm now actively choosing to be this kind of rigid, bitter person, and no one's here to tell me what I can or can't do. And it started to help you come out of your shell. You recovered a little bit and you wanted to rejoin your community, but not everyone was willing to meet you halfway. Some bridges were already burnt at this point, but however, I sense that you were happy for the relationships that you were able to recover, and you spent the last several years of your life really truly embracing who you were as a child and getting back to that and going back to a place of happiness. And so let's look at how that's impacting your life currently. So we've got Oshun, reach your goals, and the Peacock. Yeah, so the lesson you ultimately learned in that life was to be generous and to heal yourself. You learned to say thank you for the things that you had, like shelter, water, and food. And you were able to see that you got more out of sharing with the world than worrying about what was prim, proper, and right. You learned how to be generous with your heart and how to be warm with others. And the friendships you made at the end of your life really brought about so much more joy than you could even imagine your life was going to be. So in this time, what's kind of happened is you really need to focus on your solar plexus chakra. You still have a lot of healing from that lifetime that's carried over, and it's being held in your solar plexus right now. You need to start embracing your gut reactions. You need to look into them and trust them. You like finding systems that work for you, and at times do things your own way. You have lots of goals and dreams in this lifetime, and you value them above all else. It's almost as if all the unfulfilled dreams of your past life are manifesting in this lifetime to bring about abundance and happiness in this current lifetime. It's like you learned your lesson in that lifetime, and now it's really, this is the lifetime to release all of that old pain and live a state of abundance. Really establish what achieving this goal will mean for you and those around you, and keep that as your focus, so you're not easily deterred by setbacks in life, because obviously bad things and setbacks, they happen, but the ways that we react to them is what we can control, and it's what the universe is going to use to determine what else we can handle, and if we can really handle our dreams that we have placed out before us. Remember that when life gets in the way of your goals, you can always reach out to others and get help from them. Do not be like your past self and live a life of repressed solitude, waiting for the day when you can feel free. Embrace freedom right now. In this life, you inherently know the value of inner beauty. You know how important compassion is, and inconsiderate people can really set you off. Like, people will say a rude thing and it just immediately triggers like a very extreme response inside of you. And this is because you have a past life trauma with people who didn't really consider your side or your emotions. And so when someone is being unjust, it really triggers something inside of you, and it really becomes a main focus in your mind. But meditation on the solar plexus chakra is also the recommendation of this peacock card as well. And so I'm really going to ask you to take that advice and start doing some solar plexus chakra and some solar plexus work as soon as possible. There's lots of great resources here on YouTube that you can look up solar plexus healing, and you can use those towards improving your life as a whole. These are all the messages I'm getting for you, group number 3. If this video resonates with you, go ahead and give it a like or a comment down below. Subscribe to my channel for more pick-a-card videos as well as monthly horoscope readings, and I will see you next time. Bye. Hey, group number 4, if you chose I Feel My Feelings in My Body, then this is your past life reading. So let's go ahead and start out with your family and your identity in this lifetime so we can get some context about what you're still holding on to. The family you were born into was very abusive in this lifetime. You just could never seem to do anything right for them, and you escaped this family actually, and you ran away at quite a young age, but obviously this played a huge part in how you saw the world from then on out. And it made you grow up very, very quickly. You learned a lot about empathy through your family. You were very sensitive, compassionate, and diplomatic. It's like you wanted so badly to distance yourself from them and your parents that you spent a lot of time developing a sense of calmness and generosity in your young adulthood. You definitely succeeded, as you were a very loving asset to everyone around you. So let's talk about a critical situation that might still be impacting you in your current life. Because of your charismatic, jovial demeanor, you were presented with an invitation that completely swept you off your feet. It was so exciting and it was so good you had to jump on it right away. This invitation required you to be a mediator, which was something you already had a lot of experience at, being from an abusive family. And it was something that was like a no-brainer. Oh, I'm going to get paid to do something that I already naturally understand how to do. And so you took it up right away. However, that's when the self-doubt kind of started to creep in. Because of your upbringing, you kept looking or waiting for the other shoe to drop. You kept trying to figure out what was wrong with this situation. You know, too good to be true, so what's going to happen next? And because you were taking on this mindset that all of this was just too blissful, that's when things started to turn sour. Your business partners became controlling, bitter, and the lucrative business you once were cultivating started to remind you way too much of your childhood and became overwhelming for you. It was like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You were expecting things to go wrong, you were expecting things to be a repeat of your childhood, and then that's exactly what the universe handed to you. You responded with a lot of fear and anxiety and negative thinking. It just kind of took over your brain and you couldn't get out of it. You were paralyzed. You felt like you were punished for reaching for happiness once again. But in reality, you had the power to change it all along. See how she's tied up, but she's holding on to the sword? She has the power to take hold of that sword and take the power, but she just can't see it. She's turned away from it. She feels like she's bound. She doesn't know how she's going to get out of this situation. And that was you. You had the ability to take a more optimistic outlook and know that you deserved good things that had happened to you. So let's take a look on how this might be impacting you still. We have Anya reversed. Calm your mind. And the tiger. Okay. Really, these cards match so well, and I'm so excited to talk about this next part here. So in this life, you realize the importance of not putting too much pressure on the perfect outcome. You learned the importance of releasing outdated stories that bring you down and hold you back. For example, in that past life, you really couldn't let go of the misfortune of your childhood, so you were again given hostility. Relax. Take change and opportunities as they come. That is what you learned in that lifetime. That's what you need to start doing. Be with what it is and realize that the universe really wants what's best for you. The universe is really pushing you towards a better path if you would just accept it and realize that you do deserve these good things coming your way. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if you actually were born into another kind of rougher family in this life as well, because it's like they sort of needed to repeat aspects of your life and give you the chance to it was like a do-over, right? You needed a chance to do it differently. And I feel like the anxiety in your brain has carried over from that life, and at times you can feel really overwhelmed, or your brain starts racing. You stick on one thought for too long, and it's really hard for you to get your brain out of anxiety mode. You freeze up, you're paralyzed, your brain is racing, but you can't do anything about it. Like I do a lot of times, I'm going to recommend meditation. See, she's meditating here too, which is kind of a big dead giveaway, right? But that's something that you should be doing. Think of emotions more like waves passing by, moving up and down throughout your brain. Emotions and thoughts, they're just temporary. And with meditative practices, you'll be able to be in a quiet space all by yourself, and you'll be able to picture happy places, focus on releasing each muscle of your body and letting it relax. I would even say having some kind of relaxing playlist going on for the next couple of months, like making sure you really take notice of what is in your environment and making sure each of it's relaxing. So watching relaxing TV shows and movies, listening to relaxing movies, reading relaxing, calming books is really something you need to do for yourself to get your brain into a calmer, less anxious state. It's time to do some shadow work. You really need to embrace all the parts of you. When I see this tiger, tigers stalk at night. They live in the darkness, and I think you need to embrace and love each part of you that uniquely makes you you, and realize that every single part of you has value, and it's what's needed for you to walk on the path that you were meant to walk. I think it will help you to learn the karmic lesson that's still written on your soul from this past life. The tiger also talks about reveling in the calm. It's about taking moments from yourself, and the card recommends candle gazing, but I feel like you can do this with any object that brings you peace and warmth. Just find that object and take some time to stare at it. Could be a candle, could be something else. Stare at it for as long as you can, and then close your eyes and try to hold the image of that object in your brain for as long as possible. And what you're going to notice is over time, you're going to be able to increase your focus on that object and increase your focus once that object is removed. And that's really a helpful tool in learning how to calm your brain and kind of tune things out in your brain that are overwhelming you, and focus on the task at hand. These are all the messages I'm getting for you, group number 4. If this video resonates with you, give it a like or comment down below. Subscribe to my channel for more pick-a-card videos, as well as monthly horoscope readings, and I will see you next time. Bye! Hey, group number 5, if you chose I am blessed to feel this comfortable, then this reading is for you. Let's dive right into the background of who you were in that lifetime so that we can get some context into this reading. In your family, honesty and sticking up for yourselves were the main lessons that you took away from your parents. They really wanted you to have a life that you deserved, and they taught you how to ask for it and pursue it. They could be a little bit authoritative at times, and they kind of pushed you into social situations before you were ready. I get the sense that they were kind of like loud and overbearing and extroverted, and you were very quiet and to yourself. And so while you really valued the ideas of justice and doing what's right that they had, sometimes it all just felt a little bit too harsh. Everything was focused on you being the best and getting the best that you deserved. And I think there were good intentions there, but a lot of times they kind of approached it very aggressively, almost instilling the fact in you that if you weren't actively and rigorously pursuing your dreams, then you weren't doing life right, if that makes sense. If you see the Hermit reversed here, you were definitely an introvert. You saw the value in pursuing things. It's just, It wasn't your personal style to really go at things aggressively. You were a lot more intellectual. You definitely felt uncomfortable taking the lead or being thrust into the spotlight like your parents would make you be. You were obsessed with soul searching, and you really turned inward a lot of the times. You liked being by yourself. I think you would have been fine like living out in a cabin in the middle of the woods, completely isolated. Like that would have been your ideal situation here. But at times you could prefer isolation a bit too much, and you would get so isolated that you wouldn't realize how lonely you were. This situation here that kind of was the crux or the climax of that lifetime is you actually met someone. This is a bit of a love story here. You found someone that interested you and pulled you out of your isolation. They made you feel really good about yourselves, all sides of yourselves, and they really accepted you at face value. You learned a lot about compassion from this person, and they rooted you into society and helped you grow into it. You were able to create your own business and provide a really stable life for the two of you. This is a beautiful love story that's just so grounded and so real. Truly people coming together and compromising and choosing each other over each other's faults daily. Which is why it's kind of interesting here, because while this was going really well, you kind of allowed yourself to get pulled back into your kind of dramatic, over-the-top family situation, and it started to just agitate you. Because you had this calm, accepting life, and this person who loved you, it started to make you so bitter and angry about the family life that you were raised in. And you really started to see it from a very negative situation. You got comfortable, a little too comfortable in the ways, and that is when your personal growth kind of stopped. And that made you kind of lose sight of what your goals in life were originally. You lost that passion for going out and seeking self-growth. You lost the desire to really work on yourself, and you became more of a we instead of an I, and that was really hard on you because you're the type of person who's very independent and really needs to seek out and constantly be growing and learning new things. And in this life, to harness your growth mindset and to feel happy and in an open-minded community, those are going to be really important things for you to seek out in this life. They're definitely goals that you still have in this lifetime. So you want to find an open community with which you can enjoy, and you also are really interested in having that constant growth mindset here in this life. So let's keep diving into this current life and how that past life affects it. So you've got Aponia in reverse, Speak Your Truth, and the Eagle. The Eagle deals with karma, but we'll get to that here in a second. The lesson you learned is to not compromise your value for the comfort of others. You learned not all battles are yours to fight, and not all opportunities are meant to be explored. If you're feeling the impulsive need to really jump in and act as a hero, hang back for just a moment and try to see the bigger picture. That was kind of the issue with your past life, was you were getting so focused on feelings or what frustrated you that you really weren't seeing the bigger picture of what was happening around you. And I think you still struggle with the bigger picture perspective in this life as well. You're more of a details person. Definitely make sure that you are making decisions with a calm mind. If there is any fear about acting, wait until your feelings and your body are really certain before you jump into things. Trust that your guides will give you this knowledge when you're ready to have it. I don't know if you've noticed, but trust seems to be a huge thing for you. Trusting other people, trusting people to take care of you or really understand you. These are important concepts that you have in this life as well. Communication it doesn't come naturally to you. Your parents in the past life were so pushy that you're especially having a hard time expressing yourself if it seems contradictory to what others might feel, think, or believe. You had to develop a quick sense of empathy with others, and you had to get really used to socializing, which is something that was not a part of who you were naturally. I'm not sure if you really fully integrated what they were trying to teach you with the natural skill set that you came along with when you were born into that lifetime. And so in this lifetime, you're really still struggling to not feel that pressure to carry on a conversation. And I'm sorry that you feel like just completely so confused about how to strike up a real and deep conversation with someone, but I would really encourage you to start sharing your truths with people that you trust first. And then slowly but surely, it's going to be easier for you to open up with other people. It's okay to be a bit of an introvert. I'm not saying you need to just like, okay, now start talking to everyone about your whole life story. That's not what I'm saying here. Be an introvert. An introvert is who you are, but maybe start talking about something that you're passionate about, like a cause you're passionate about. And then because the focus is on the cause and not on you as a person, it might be a little bit easier to open up and really ask people for the things you want or want to see in the world. It really will help you start sharing a little bit more openly. Now let's get to this karma card here, the eagle. Yeah, so this is probably something that you don't want to hear, but in this life, part of your purpose is to learn to step into the unknown, to release control of things turning out exactly the way you think they should turn out, and realizing that the universe might have a better plan and you might get more happiness than you even thought you could have gotten in this lifetime. You are really going to get over this karmic hump, and it's all happening soon. And actually, for some of you, I think it's already happened. If you've just had a lot of emotions brought to the surface and you've had to face down a very, very difficult situation, then you've probably already started the process of releasing some of this karma from that past life. Your soul is definitely evolving in huge ways in this life, and I see so many great things coming for you in the future. But a lot of times that starts with you being willing to step into the unknown and accept these changes and take them on as they come. These are all the messages I'm getting for you, group number 5. If this video resonates with you, give it a like or comment down below. Subscribe to my channel for pick a card videos as well as monthly horoscope readings, and I will see you next time. Bye. Hey, group number 6, if you chose I am supported by life, then this is your past life reading. So let's go ahead and start out with some background information into your past life so we can get some context into how you were as a person then, and then what happened to you and how it's impacting your current situation. So let's start out by talking about your parents, because I think that's going to give us a lot of context into their marriage and subsequently your childhood. They were a very good match on paper. And I'm sensing that there might have even been like some sort of an arranged marriage situation between them. They were actually very stable. They brought in a lot of income. You were well cared for, but there just wasn't any passion there. And because of wherever you were living or the time period, divorce really wasn't an option for them. And so that left them to take out their frustrations with the marriage on you and your siblings. And you had to grow up quite quickly. I would say too quickly. You were really asked to take on a lot when I see this 2 of Pentacles here. Tons of responsibility was placed on you at a very young age, and you were definitely out of your depth, overwhelmed, and just forced into taking on too much. There was not a lot of time to sit back and relax. And see the 2 of Pentacles reversed? It's repeated again over here. This continued on throughout your lifetime, you taking on kind of the sins of the father almost. And eventually this 4 of Cups reversed, you were like, enough is enough. You realized that you just couldn't live this way any longer, and you finally got over this sense of remorse and guilt that your parents had built up in you, making you feel like for some reason you brought upon this broken marriage for them, when in reality there was no way you could have done that. You didn't even exist when they did get married. You stopped feeling that guilt, and you put it behind you, and it was a huge positive turning point in your life. There was this huge surge of positivity for you, and you finally understood that life could be truly fulfilling for you, that your life wasn't about living for other people, and in fact you did deserve great things. And look, I love this strength card here. You grew, you became so strong. Your reaction was so out of the statistical norm. Like most people just get, if they start out and they grow up in really bad situations, and they tend to repeat those same patterns, but not you. You stood up and you were like, this is not going to keep happening to me. And you were strong, and you grew wiser, and you sort of mastered fear in that moment in a way, and a huge weight was lifted from your shoulders. So let's look into how this is kind of playing out in your current life. We have the Great Goddess reversed, be grateful, and the Turtle. As a child in your past life, you were taught to sacrifice your desires. You were taught to suppress anything that didn't feel right for your parents. Like you were taught to suppress anything that you wanted in lieu of their desires and their wants, and you sacrificed a lot of yourself for them. But when you learned how to open up and be honest and really got tough and had these necessary conversations, You learned to speak for yourself and take back your power. You learned how to embrace, and you learned how to learn from mistakes, which is huge. I know that sounds so silly, but a lot of people are destined to relive their mistakes over and over again because they never really step up and learn them, but you actually put that karma to rest in that lifetime. You learned how to live in the uncomfortable for a bit so that you can make the necessary changes to improve your life. You did not, however, really learn how to take what you needed until later in life. So even though you might be comfortable in this life, having your base needs met for you, you find it really hard to stop wanting more and more and more, because it wasn't until the end of your lifetime that you really stood up and broke this cycle. So now in this current lifetime, you're like, and I want to experience this, and I want to experience this, and I want to experience this. It's like a kid going off to college for the very first time, and you just want and want and want, and you don't know how to stop and just really look at things. So I would encourage you to see what currently exists in your life that you are happy with. Write these things down and then tell them to a friend. What do you already love about your life? You know the old phrase, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. Happiness sort of uses that same rule. Being happy with what you have brings about more happiness into your life, and it's a much more fast and joyful way to get what you want. Also, if you get the chance, try volunteering to help others. I think you're going to realize how much joy you can really get out of helping and sharing in someone else's life with them. So I've just given you a snapshot of one of your past lives, but the turtle card here suggests that this is just one of a ton of past lives. You've lived many, many times. You're a very old soul. I think you will find that you are not only deeply connected to the earth, but you also are very deeply connected to the unknown spirituality side of life. You've spent a lot of time growing as a soul, and you've spent a lot of time growing as a soul on earth. So you spent a lot of time in the spiritual realm as well as on the earthly plane, and you've cultivated a very strong life purpose over your lifetimes. You chose to come back to this time because you have so much to give to the collective at this time. You are adventurous in this lifetime, open-minded without being flighty. You're productive without being overly busy or chaotic. You can actually manifest whatever you want right now. However, I'm not really sure you've truly tapped into that power. I'm not sure if you truly have realized that about yourself. Once you've embraced the fact the world is going to open up to you, we could really use a person like you at this time. These are all the messages I'm getting for you, group number 6. If this video resonates with you, go ahead and give it a like or comment down below. Subscribe to my channel for more pick-a-card videos, as well as monthly horoscope readings, and I will see you next time. Bye. Hey, group number 7, if you chose I light the world up with my gentle eyes, then this is your past life reading. Let's start by looking at who you were and what family you were born into to give us some context for what your past life was like. So I'm definitely seeing that you were raised by a single parent in this past lifetime. By the time you came to them, they had already kind of given up essentially. I'm not sure what happened, whether it was like a divorce or their spouse or person that they had you with had passed away, but it sent them into a place of relying on an addiction, and they definitely did not protect you at all as a child. They didn't even provide you with a childhood. It was a very difficult upbringing. You were constantly in survival mode, just trying to make things work to the best of your ability as a child. As you grew up, you felt quite charged to find the one, to seek out true romance. You were attractive, charismatic, sensitive. You were so imaginative. It's impressive to me that you maintained these characteristics in such a harsh upbringing, and you really, really were wanting to pursue a stable, loving person that was very important to you, to create a family that was your own. You felt like, okay, so I wasn't born into the right family, but I can make my own family for myself. It was also really important to you to surround yourself with fellow romantics, healers, and creative types. I'm getting kind of very bohemian-esque vibes here. Like, you really liked kind of collecting people and creating a warm, loving community with them, something you didn't feel like you got from your distant and despondent parent. In your adult life, you encountered a partner who reminded you very much of your parent. You started dating them, it seemed fine, but then things kind of turned and they became a lot like this parent who raised and abused you. They made you feel like you were back as a child fighting for your life, and you learned as a child that emotional vulnerability could be used against you, so you started to get a little bit aggressive. You lost that sympathetic empathy that you kind of had developed as an adult. And it makes total sense because you just so desperately did not want to have anything used against you, and you wanted to not get taken advantage of again. And all in all, because it's paired with this Chariot card here, with which, if you can see this, I love this little unicorn Chariot card. It's paired with the Chariot card, and I can see that you were victorious over this obstacle. You found yourself, and what didn't kill you made you stronger in this lifetime. You learned how to adapt in difficult situations, and it taught you a lot about yourself and how you can motivate yourself to succeed when things feel overwhelming. It's kind of like you took that survival mode, fear-based childhood lesson that you've learned, and you turned it into the motivation to go after what you want. You kind of had an idea of what you wanted before, and this really strengthened and set you on a path towards getting exactly what you wanted and needed out of life. It also taught you to be much more careful in the choices on who to hang out with and who to let into your life, which is really important to an imaginative person, to have some kind of boundaries up. It's very hard for creative types. They kind of wear their hearts on their sleeves, but it toughened you up a little bit and made you a little bit more aware of people and signals, almost more aware of your intuition in a way. So the realization that you can get yourself out of these bad situations, that you have the choice, sparked a huge transformation in your life and created a mass amount of abundance, but also deeply developed your intuition. Oh, hey, okay. So yeah, I got that message twice then. You really started to trust yourself and found your confidence. You realized that while you loved romance, you were also happy with your own company. And that's when you really started to be able to find those people that you had always longed for in your big group, your band of traveling good timers, if you if you will. Both of these cards right here suggest fertility. I would say that you probably had your first child very shortly after you parted ways with this more abusive partner, or you were able to develop some kind of business or money-making venture that really lasted you a lifetime. So let's talk about how these lessons are impacting your current life. We have Green Tara. Anything is possible. Yay. That's such a good card. And the Tarantula. Okay. This is some really great stuff here. So you learned in that lifetime to seek out the right people to help push you along your path. You learned how to suss out trickery and become a lot more selective, but you still managed to keep your open heart, which is so rare. Again, like, you were abused as a child, but you remained open to finding love. You were, again, put down as an adult by someone you trusted, but you rose and still kept an open mind and really looked into people, giving them second chances. It completely makes sense, though. I mean, the Knight of Cups personality, like, sort of perseveres through it all. I love that. I love that journey for you, as Alexis from Schitt's Creek would say. You learned to be safe and to trust that the magic of the universe really has your back. In this life, you really truly still believe that anything can happen. You have kept a well-developed intuition from that last time, and I think you believe in magic in this time as well. You're so open-minded and you want to work for a better, brighter future. I think you have some of the same charisma that you had in that past life as well. It's like a combination of air and fire as the vibe that I'm getting from you, from your personality traits here. Your life purpose revealed itself to you already in this lifetime. When I see this Tarantula card, that means we're already at a crossroads of choosing our life path. I really feel like there's a lot of similarities in this life to that past lifetime, except for you seem to be speeding through it and learning things much faster than you did in that lifetime, and things just feel not easy, but easier to get through. It's like you know that things are going to work out okay. And ultimately, your intuition just seems to win out every single time. You can over-intellectualize things at times, get kind of stuck in your head. You have this way of reminding yourself to trust your gut. That doesn't mean that everything is going to come up roses in this lifetime. Bad things inevitably happen, but it's important for you to use your intellect with your emotional intelligence to really find the lesson in the bad situations and see how it's all kind of leading on a better, cleaner path for you. You have these abilities already inside you. You just have to reach out to your guides and ask them to show you how to connect to it. And I can hear them in my mind right now. They're like, yes, yes, please talk to us. Please definitely look into reaching out to your spirit guides. They want to have a conversation with you. These are all the messages I'm getting for you, group number 7. If this video resonates with you, give it a like or comment down below. Subscribe to my channel for more pick a card videos as well as monthly horoscope readings, and I will see you next time. Bye. Hey, group number 8, if you chose I Am Love, then this is your reading on your past life. Let's start out by talking about your family and who you were as a person during this lifetime so we can get some better insight into some things that may be sticking around for you in your current life. So for your family, the 10 of Cups here, it literally is the card of having a happy home and a happy family. Lots of fun, security, and harmony in your family life in this lifetime. Truly, this is like the most perfect childhood a person could ask for, and your family was very, very close. And so it's not surprising that we see as your identity the sun. It's so fitting. I mean, you're like a little ray of sunshine and optimism in this lifetime. You're enthusiastic, you're open-minded, and you express yourself with ease. It was so encouraged by your parents when you were a child that there really weren't any hang-ups there in expressing yourself. When you kind of went out into the world, you were like this little ball of sunshine, just like lighting up the world and making everyone really excited and happy to be there. A major situation that kind of changed the course of your life in that lifetime, we've got the 7 of Pentacles reversed and the 8 of Wands reversed. You actually started your own business. You started to figure out a way to make your own money. And it was something you were extremely passionate about, and the timing just wasn't right. A huge and very unforeseen event hit your community, and it made cash flow very hard to come by. People just really weren't willing to spend any additional money, and they didn't have the additional money or time to spend on the kind of innovative business that you were presenting to them. It really put these dreams of having your own business and strong community on the back burner. And all the plans that you had in helping and fixing the world really got squashed in that moment. And it's really kind of cool because the way that you reacted, the King of Cups and the 2 of Wands, you met this difficulty with kindness and compassion. You actually decided that you were going to move away from everyone you had known and loved. You just felt like it was important and you would find satisfaction somewhere else. You felt like the community that you were in, you really couldn't do much to help, and so you went to pursue something that you did feel like that you could be a part of and help change. It taught you to accept that things don't always turn out the way that you hoped, but you handled it with such grace and poise. You accepted that some things are out of your control, but you really realized that at least you could control your reaction to this very frustrating setback. So you left and you started anew. Let's figure out how that's impacting your current lifetime. We have Aphrodite reversed. Be playful. I love all these sunny cards for you. And, the rabbit. You discovered that life pain can actually bring with it gifts that you would not have received in times of joy. You were tested in this lifetime, but you remained strong, and therefore you were rewarded with a successful business when you moved overseas. Through pain in the past lifetime, you learned to release your old patterns that didn't serve you, that kept you stagnant and kept innovation low. You had to adapt to keep the hope of the business plans alive, and you learned to release expectations and attachments. And because of that, you welcomed in a new experience that you didn't even know would be possible in your lifetime. In your current life, you are just as passionate and good-natured. I'm getting like a Leo-Libra kind of combination here, if I'm being honest. Like, potentially you have both Leo and Libra in your sun, moon, and rising signs. Making time to play and let loose is really needed for you. At times you can get really serious and wrapped up in your passions, but this card is asking you to really play and let play become a part of your life. And I think once you do play and you have a bit of fun as an adult, it kind of lowers your stress a bit. And then you can think much more rationally as well. I want to really focus in on the rabbit really quickly. So I feel like you're always worried about the unknown. You spend a lot of time talking and thinking about the what ifs. You want to be prepared for any possible downturn, which doesn't surprise me because in your past life it was like you were moving along, things were sunny and perfect, and then bam, out of nowhere, something no one could have even predicted happened, and it just kind of sucked your dreams right away from you. And so you're constantly in this life like waiting for that downturn to happen again. But it's time to release those old negative thought patterns. You are a problem solver by nature, and I know you can face down any challenges, so there's no need to fear that they're going to overwhelm you and take your passions away. In fact, in this lifetime, You handled it with such strength and poise, and you really took on these new challenges with grace, and it paid off for you big time. So it is okay to release this fear that something bad is going to happen. Of course, bad things are going to happen, but you are so strong and so capable of handling anything that comes your way. I'd like you to try something for me, actually. I have a very specific request, if you wouldn't mind. I'd like you to take out 2 days and really, on the first day, just speak when spoken to, really focusing on the words of others. Let them speak first, listen. You're really a great, caring listener already. And then on the second day, I'd like you to just spend some time in silence, paying attention to your own thoughts. How does your brain respond to different people, situations, and events? After each of those days, journal what things you noticed. There's no reason to be judgmental about what you noticed or thought. That's not the exercise here. Just notice what you thought and write down what you've learned. I think you're going to be very surprised with how much insight already exists within you. These are all the messages I'm getting for you, group number 8. If this video resonates with you, give it a like or comment down below. Subscribe to my channel for more pick a card videos as well as monthly horoscope readings, and I will see you next time. Bye!